Okay, so I wanted to talk about um, the evil family, the Chaldeans, because this is really like for some people it's gonna be like kind of learning about it, but really it's due to like come out of her, because even your Messiah, Yeshua, told you to do that, and Revelation 18, come out of her, my people, and that's the same thing in Isaiah 48. Because Revelation 17 and 18 is just like quoting back to Isaiah 47 and 48. I still have a lot of learning to do on this, but I really wanted to give like a kind of a brief breakdown on the Chaldeans, um, and essentially like where they came from. So like I have some notes on this, but um, like there's still like a lot more studying that I have to do, like just to get like the full depths of it or whatever. But I wanted to share at least what I have. Um, So let's really start up back, because you see the Chaldean, like the Chaldeans mentioned, like even in Genesis, right? Um, like because they're a people sort of, but they like as you kind of go along, you you kind of like learn a bit more. I'll just kind of read the word and you'll kind of see what I mean. So first, getting into the captivity of Judah, because there was the captivity of the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Um, two houses. You have to proclaim the two houses. Um, the Jews are not all 12 tribes of Israel, because by saying that you're like what is called Israel, the nation called Israel today, like that piece of land, is just Judea. It's not all 12 tribes. And what you're doing, as it's written, is you're removing the bound, removing the border, because you're not finding the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Exactly what Yeshua went to go find, what the apostles went to go find, because none of you were had the balls to come out of her and go search for them. But so Ezekiel 4, um, breaks down like the beginning, right, of the captivity. Thou also, son of man, take thee a tile and lay it before thee, and portray upon it the city, even Jerusalem, and lay siege against it, and build a fort against it, and cast a mount against it. Set the camp also against it, and set battering rams against it round about. Moreover, take thou unto thee an iron pan, and set it for a wall of iron between thee and the city, and set thy face against it, and it shall be besieged, and thou shalt lay siege against it. This shall be a sign to the house of Israel. Lie thou also upon thy left side, and lay the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it, according to the number of the days that thou shalt lie upon it, thou shalt bear their iniquity. For I have laid upon thee the years of their iniquity, according to the number of the days. 390 days, so shalt thou bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. So 390 years was supposed to be how long Israel was supposed to be in captivity. But you see that none of them chose to repent, to return to Yehovah. Um, and so they stayed in captivity, and then they were scattered to the four corners of the earth. Um, and so that's why that like the lost sheep of the house of Israel come out of the Gentiles, as it's like written in Isaiah 44, um, that they're gonna spring up out of the grass and surname themselves as Jacob and as Israel, and I'm the Lord, or I'm the Lord's. Um, Verse 6, and when thou hast accomplished them, lie again on thy right side, and thou shalt bear the iniquity of the house of Judah. 40 days I appointed thee, each day for a year. Therefore thou shalt set thy face toward the siege of Jerusalem, and thine arm shall be uncovered, and thou shalt prophesy against it. So the captivity of Judah, the house of Judah, because that's really the tribe of Judah and the tribe of Benjamin, and then like the Levites that kind of like sort of joined with them. Um, that was supposed to be for 40 years, and that's exactly what happened. Um, and many and some did return, as you see in Ezra and Nehemiah, but we'll get into that. So um, in Ezra we see um, yeah, because I guess in Second Kings you see that um, the house of Judah, they went into, well, first the house of Israel, because you see starting like 2 Kings 17 that they go into Assyrian captivity, um, and Judah, they go into Babylonian captivity. And um, one important, I guess sort of important thing that I want to point out first is in Ezra. Where are you? Ezra. Ezra 5. And I'm just wanting to read one verse, verse 12, because you know that Judah went into Babylonian captivity, right? But this is what it says. So Ezra 5, verse 12. But after that our fathers had provoked the God of heaven unto wrath, he gave them into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. But what does it say? The Chaldean, who destroyed this house and carried the people away into Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar was a Chaldean. Um, and we'll get into this even in Daniel. It even expounds upon this. But so in 2 Kings 24, kind of getting into the captivity. Let's go to that. So 2 Kings 24, starting verse 1. In his days, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, but we know he's the Chaldean, came up, and Jehoiakim became his servant 3 years. Then he turned and rebelled against him. And the Lord sent against him bands of the Chaldeans, and bands of the Syrians, and bands of the Moabites, and bands of the children of Ammon, and sent them against Judah to destroy it, according to the word of the Lord, which he spake by his servants the prophets. Surely at the commandment of the Lord came this upon Judah, to remove them out of his sight, for the sins of Manasseh, according to all that he did. I guess we'll continue. And also for the innocent blood that he shed, for he filled Jerusalem with innocent blood, which the Lord would not pardon. And so innocent blood even is like lying to people, not telling them the word of God. But sin is transgressing the Ten Commandments. Um, so here we see in the third year that Babylon was besieging Jerusalem, which represents Judah here. And so you see the same thing mentioned in Daniel. So, hopping over there. So Daniel 1, starting at verse 1. In the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. Right? And you even saw that in Ezekiel 4. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his God. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored, and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. So, like these people of Judah were going to be taught the way of the Chaldeans. And when you're reading um, the book of Daniel, you get an idea of what is the way of the Chaldeans. And you can kind of understand it like partially as like the Jewish sort of like mysticism today. Um, but like what it looks like is that like Daniel, on the other hand, like trusted in God, and that's why he's always like kind of made like a difference between like him and the Chaldeans. So Daniel 2, starting at verse 1, and then and in the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. Then the king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, for to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. So the Chaldeans are compared with magicians and astrologers and sorcerers, like all those sorts of things. Um, and the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spake the Chaldeans, the king in Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. And the king answered and said to the Chaldeans, right, because he's just speaking to the Chaldeans, so all those magicians and stuff were Chaldeans and whatever. The thing is gone from me. If ye will not make known unto me the dream, with the interpretation thereof, ye shall be cut in pieces, and your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if ye show the dream, and the interpretation thereof, ye shall receive of me gifts and rewards, and great honor. Therefore show me the dream, and the interpretation thereof. They answered again and said, Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation of it. The king answered and said, I know of certainty what that ye would gain the time, because ye see the thing is gone from me. But if ye will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you. For ye have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me, till the time be changed. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can show me the interpretation thereof. The Chaldeans answered before the king, and said, There is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such things at any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other that can show it before the king except the gods, whose dwelling is not with flesh. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, Why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went and desired of the king that he would give him time, and that he would show the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and mighty are his. So Daniel received the wisdom and understanding from God, while the Chaldeans were not even relying on God. They were just relying on their kind of like their own understanding. And you continue to see this today. Everybody that's following the way of the Chaldeans. And what I'll even kind of mention later is that like this is even where the Talmud comes from, like this Chaldean sort of way. So now we see because later on, after the captivity, like some people did return, like according to like the 40 years that they're supposed to be in captivity. But there was also many that decided they preferred the way of the Chaldeans, and they were probably like already building a good life there because because they were there for 70 years, right? Because you see in Daniel 9 and like in Jeremiah 29 that like 70 years were determined until like Babylon's destruction or whatever, and then people would be able to go back. Um, and 70 years is basically a generation. So people would have forgotten like the past and would have preferred the ways that they were living in. Because just like in Exodus, like with the actual Exodus, the Israelites were constantly preferring to be in Egypt. They're like, oh, it's so bad. Like, we don't have food, we don't have water. Like, we're gonna die. And they were always like angering God and Moses. Um, and so, like, if it was their choice, they would have stayed in Egypt because they were making a good life there or something like that. Because like being in the wilderness, like it's not fun. And just like now, like Jerusalem is a desolation, um, and like people wouldn't prefer to, oh, we have to rebuild it, and like we wouldn't have homes for a while, like we have to do all this work. Oh, that's too much. Like like people wouldn't prefer to do that, so they would just stay in their comfortable life. And that's even the same thing today. Like you're told to come out for my people, but people are just like, ah, do I really have to give up all of this to follow God and what He really wants? That's like a lot. Like maybe He'll just be fine if I just stay like in my comfortable spot. And that's like it's the same mindset that people are thinking. Um, so let's go to Ezra, because this even kind of points at to something. Um, it points at a similar depiction in Joel 2. And I'll mention that once I get there. So, Ezra 1, starting verse 1. Now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of the Lord by the mouth of Jeremiah might be fulfilled, the Lord stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all the kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, Thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, the Lord God of heaven hath given me all the kingdoms of the earth, and he hath charged me to build him an house at Jerusalem, which is in Judah. Who is there among you? All his people, his God be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem, which is in Judah, and build the house of the Lord God of Israel. He is the God which is in Jerusalem. And whosoever remaineth in any place where he sojourneth, let the man of his place help him with silver and with gold, and with goods and with beasts, beside the freewill offering for the house of God that is in Jerusalem. Then rose up in the chief of the fathers of Judah and Benjamin, right, because the house of Judah is Judah and Benjamin, and the priests and the Levites with all them, whose spirits God had raised to go up to build the house of the Lord which is in Jerusalem. Like you see that God, like he basically like gave him his spirit of grace to convict them to go and rebuild Jerusalem. But this wouldn't be like, this wasn't for everybody, just like for the people that he chose. And so just like in, I think it's in Joel 2, but you can see this in like in Ephesians, that like God pours out like an exceeding amount of grace, conviction. You see that in Titus 2, to convict people to come out of her, to start keeping God's commandments. And all they that were about them strengthened their hands with vessels of gold, of silver, with gold, with goods, and with beasts, and with precious things, beside all that was willingly offered. So, like as I was saying, like they, like a certain group of people were convicted to come out of her, and to go and rebuild Jerusalem. But there was like probably like a large portion that actually stayed. And so we kind of see this outlined in Esther, the book of Esther. So I'll first go to there. So Esther 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Xerxes, this is Xerxes which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia, over 127 provinces. So that's 127. But so Xerxes, this is H325 in the Strong's Concordance, and this is the title for the Persian kings, for the Persian king, Xerxes. So, and the book of Esther, it seems to describe like the Jews that remained in captivity, and so like many, like probably a lot of them were already like learning the way of the Chaldeans and stuff like that, because they would have taught it to like their children and their children's children, whatever. And so I guess like, so let's just recall that while there was the Babylonian captivity, God stirred up the Medes and the Persians against the king of Babylon to destroy it. But like people were still like in captivity or whatever for a time. But yeah, so I'll go to Daniel. Daniel 5, starting at verse 24. Then was the part of the hand sent from him, and this writing was written. And this is the writing that was written. Many, many, tekel apharsin. This is the interpretation of the thing. Mene, God hath numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and art found wanting. Peres, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then commanded Belshazzar, and they clothed Daniel with scarlet and put a chain of gold about his neck and made a proclamation concerning him, that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. And that night was Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, slain, and Darius the Median took the kingdom, being about 62 years old. Um, so yeah, that's like kind of when the transfer of power, I guess, yeah, to the Persians. And so now let's go to Daniel 9, verse 1. In the first year of Darius, the son of Xerxes, right, the guy that the Persian king, of the seed of the Medes, which was made king over the realm of the Chaldeans. So it's like even still like referred to as like the Chaldeans. Um, in the first year of his reign, I, Daniel, understood by books the number of the years whereof the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah the prophet, that he would accomplish 70 years in the desolations of Jerusalem. So now going back to the book of Esther, um, so Esther 8, verse 9. And so this is kind of, I'm trying to show that like there's still like a large portion of Jews that remained, that chose to remain in like essentially in captivity. Um, yeah, captivity. So Esther 8 verse 9. Then were the king's scribes called at that time in the third month, that is the month of Sivan, on the 23rd day thereof. And it was written, according to all that Mordecai commanded unto the Jews, and to the lieutenants and the deputies, and rulers of the provinces which are from India unto Ethiopia, 127 provinces, unto every province according to the writing thereof, and unto every people after their language, and to the Jews according to their writing, and according to their language. And he wrote in the king Xerxes' name, and sealed it with the king's ring, and sent letters by post on horseback, and riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Jews which were in every city gather, like the Jews were in every city, um, like 127 provinces, um, gather themselves together and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. But I read that, so then like you really had the idea that there was a large portion that still stayed in captivity, and this is like common knowledge too, um, that like over time they set up even like schools and academic centers in like the Babylonian region, um, and then they created the Talmud, um, there, and like that's all just going to be based off of that learning of the Chaldeans, um, and so I'll just point this out now because I don't know how much I'm going to really read about this, because there's many other good videos about this, or I mean you could just read the chapters for yourself. um, Revelation 17:18 with Isaiah 47, 48, and 49. But so first I'll go to Revelation because it's quoting. Um, so Revelation 18. And after these things, another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the fornication, of her fornication. Actually, something I'll also mention is like just as the house of Israel, like they were scattered to the four corners of the earth because they never returned. Like those Jews that learned the way of the Chaldeans, um, and then like created Talmud and all that stuff. Like since they stayed, they then also too were scattered to the four corners of the earth, um, and like that's why like it's like it's that's kind of like the system that's even sort of like I guess like running things in a way. Um, so verse 3, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. Um, and so now we go to Isaiah 48, because it's really talking about this. So, verse 1, Hear ye this, O house of Jacob, which are called by the name of Israel, and are come forth out of the waters of Judah. Come out of her, which swear by the name of the Lord, and make mention of the God of Israel, but not in truth, nor in righteousness. For they call themselves of the holy city, and stay themselves upon the God of Israel. The Lord of hosts is his name. I have declared the former things from the beginning, and they went forth out of my mouth. And I showed them, I did them suddenly, and they came to pass, because I knew that thou art obstinate, and thy neck is an iron sinew, and thy brow brass. I've even from the beginning declared it to thee. Before it came to pass, I showed it thee, lest thou shouldest say, Mine idol hath done them, and my graven image, and my molten image, hath commanded them. Thou hast heard, see all this, and will not ye declare it? I have showed thee new things, from this time, even hidden things, and thou didst not know them. They are created now, and not from the beginning, even before the day when thou heardest them not, lest thou shouldest say, Behold, I knew them. Yea, thou heardest not, yea, thou knewest not. Yea, from that time that thine ear was not opened, for I knew that thou wouldest deal very treacherously, and wast called a transgressor from the womb. For my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. Behold, I have refrained thee, but not with silver. I have chosen thee, and the furnace of affliction. And that even reminds me of like great tribulation, like those that have to be refined in the fire, um, because they didn't choose to take the servant calling now, the watchman calling. Verse 11, For mine own sake, even for mine own sake, will I do it. Right? Not for your sakes did he bring you out of Egypt or whatever, but for his own sake. For how should my name be polluted, and I will not give my glory unto another? Hearken unto me, O Jacob, And Israel, my called, I am he, I am the first, I also am the last. Mine hand also hath laid the foundation of the earth. My right hand hath spanned the heavens. When I call unto them, they stand up together. All ye, assemble yourselves, and hear, which among them hath declared these things. The Lord hath loved him. He will do his pleasure on Babylon, and his arm shall be on the Chaldeans. I, even I, have spoken. Yea, I have called him, I brought him, and he shall make his way prosperous. Come ye near unto me, hear ye this. I have not spoken in secret from the beginning, from the time that it was. There am I, and now the Lord God and his Spirit hath sent me. Thus saith the Lord, thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel. I am the Lord thy God, which teacheth thee to profit, which leadeth thee by the way that thou shouldest go. Oh, that thou hadst heard, or hadst hearkened to my commandments. Then had thy peace been as a river, and thy righteousness as the waves of the sea. Thy seed also had been as the sand, and the offspring of thy bowels like the gravel thereof. His name should not have been cut off, nor destroyed from before thee. Go ye forth, O Babylon, flee ye from the Chaldeans. With a voice of singing declare ye, tell this, utter it even to the end of the earth. Say ye, the Lord hath redeemed his servant Jacob, and they thirsted not when he led them through the deserts, because they drank the life-giving water, the Ten Commandments. He through the deserts. He caused the waters to flow out of the rock for them. He clave the rock also, and the waters gushed out. There is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. Right, peace, peace, because there is no peace. As long as Jezebel is still alive. But, anyways, that's kind of what I wanted to read. If you're a Jew, if you're in Jerusalem, flee out of the Chaldeans. Come out of her, my people. Stop reading that Talmud. You have to keep the Ten Commandments. You have to eat clean. Don't don't put the yoke of bondage that even our fathers couldn't bear, the sacrificial law, and telling people to still wear tassels and do the other handwritten ordinances contained in the book of the law. But you're supposed to go find the lost sheep of the house of Israel, which many of whom are in the churches, and they might not be in the churches too, because they're like searching, and so many of them can be online as well. Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to walk even as Yeshua walked. But yeah.